Hey, welcome to Two Marines and a Mic. And we're here from the Marine Corps League of Ellis County. And I'm Tom Connolly, and this is my co-host.
Corey Bunnell.
Yeah. And so I want to say thank you to the Grit and Good News network here and all their followers, and to Scott Brooks and Sammy, the producer. And we're here to talk about the Marine Corps League and our Marine Corps birthday that's coming up, especially. So, why are we doing this, Corey? What's the rest of the story?
So we've been doing a lot of marketing and advertising. The league started in 2017, and they did a couple birthday balls, a few birthday balls down at the Motorplex, and we had the pandemic, so there was a halt. There was a cessation of partying, and then we got it back. We got it going again. So this is the first birthday ball, the 250th that we're doing um, up at the Civic Center, and it's also a way to for us to market the league a little bit because there are tons of Marines in and around Ellis County, all in South DFW, and we want to get the word out to those Marines that we're here and we're hanging out with Marines, and that's what we do, and we do Marine things.
So, what's different about the league compared to like the VFW or the American Legion?
So the Marine Corps League is a specific organization that was originally the Marine Corps Veterans Association way back shooting in John Lejeune days. And it was a vision of a Major Brewster. And so they got together, long story short, they created and became the Marine Corps League back in the early 20s. And then John A. Lejeune decided to make it an official veteran organization. It's actually sanctioned by Congress. So none of the VFWs are all services, and so are the American Legions. Anybody can join those either as a regular member or an associate member, and specifically for the VFWs. But this is just for Marines, FMF, uh, Navy corpsmen that have that designation, and our associate members that hang out with us.
Yeah. Okay. So, why together? I mean, last year on the day of the day of the birthday, I'm watching stuff on Facebook, people from Maypearl and all around Red Oak and even
Saying happy
VFW
birthday,
said,
Marines.
yeah, and where can we go to celebrate? And
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure it out, and we're having a big one.
Yeah.
So,
So if you're not aware, especially for our civilian audience,
oh yeah,
right? So
exactly.
Marines will celebrate the birthday. If there are two Marines present, they will celebrate the birthday. And that's peacetime, wartime, whether they're out, whether they're back at the barracks or whether they're forward deployed, and whether they're in a combat situation, the Marines celebrate their birthday. So, yeah, we're here
Yeah.
and we're celebrating the birthday, and the league is much more than that. It's a conduit for Marines to help, number one, help Marines that are transitioning out of active duty, and it's also for us to engage with the community with Marine Corps values.
Yeah, well, we do a whole bunch of things, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But did you know that in Fallujah there was a gunny, a company gunny in Fallujah during the Battle of Fallujah, who spent like 2 weeks getting all of the pound cakes out of the MREs, okay? And then he put them all in like little boxes and wrote "Happy Birthday" on them and made and delivered them to everyone in his company, every Marine in his company. And on November the 10th, they all took a step back, ate their pound cake, like I think it was at noon, right? And sang the Marine Corps hymn,
Yeah.
and then we're back at it. It was, that's so cool. But there are other stories like that in World War II and in Vietnam as well. Yeah. So
Throughout our history.
yeah, so that's something we do. What's really unique about our ball, if you know, is that not just our ball, but balls, for the league, is that we open them up to the public
Mhm.
because, on active duty, it's a unit thing, right? It's usually a unit thing. So you don't have, you know, the people down the street come in, and you don't have people who've never been to one. I don't know how many cards I've given to people and said, have you ever been to a birthday ball? Have you ever been to a Marine Corps ball? And they're like, no, I didn't know I could go. Yeah, no, yes, you
Yes,
can.
you can
You
go.
can. And we want them to come because we want them to know how we connect with the community
Oh, yeah.
and the things that we do. What are some of those things that the league does?
Oh, shoot. So the league primarily, you're going to see the leagues around the country. So the league is set up through detachments in as small as small towns, all the way up to counties and multiple counties within states. And those detachments, the largest thing we do right now is Toys for Tots. So that's a huge program that the Marine Corps League kind of uh, I don't know if we've taken over from the reserve. The reserve, Marine Corps Reserve, still is kind of the lead organization for it. But as far as on the ground work, it's being done by the detachments, by the leagues, or by the Marine Corps League and all its detachments. And it's a big evolution
Yeah.
that happens between October, or rather November 1st and December 15th.
Well, we gave toys to 15,000 kids last year, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Over 15,000 kids.
Yeah. That's just like Ellis
Yeah.
County and South DFW area.
So that's the biggest program. But
Yeah.
there's a young Marines program. There's a high school, middle school fitness program.
Right.
Oh shoot, there's all types of veteran services that the league either provides or provides some sort of conduit to
Yeah.
those services.
Well, a lot of people don't know. I mean, it used to be that when a veteran died, that a Marine veteran died, then the reserve unit would do the honors at the graveside and that kind of stuff if you got connected with them.
Mhm.
But that stopped 10 years ago or something like that, maybe longer. And only the veteran service organizations do this now. And we have a firing detail. We go
Yes.
out there if we're notified, and we have color guard that does civic representation, and of course all of that is, you know, goes back to the the core values, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you're building patriots, right? We do two things really well in the Marine Corps, right? We fight battles and we make Marines, right?
Mhm.
And Marine part of that being a Marine is being a patriot.
Sure.
So, and I think I love that idea,
And one of the biggest things that you talk about core values, but one of the foundational concepts for the Marine Corps League is once a Marine, always a Marine. So again, it's a Marine organization sponsored by or sanctioned by the Congress. And it's also Marines being Marines and helping Marines. That's the biggest foundation block of the Marine Corps League.
Yeah, well, I never thought about the Marine Corps League until I came to Waxahachie 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And you, shipmate from
Yeah,
Okinawa days,
got the
right?
got the lasso
Yeah,
out.
well,
Yeah.
but you introduced me to the Marine Corps League because I really didn't know anything about the Marine Corps League, and you don't see as many officers in the Marine Corps League. And as I have to admit that we're both officers, um, but uh, but yeah, and it's been a great experience, and I love the things that we're doing. The ball is also our biggest fundraiser for the year, so that we can keep doing all of these things, and so you know.
Yeah, and yes, it's a fundraiser, but one of the primary things I think that is really cool is it's a black tie event. So it's an event that Marines, veterans, and anybody in and around the south part of DFW can come. They can bring their better half and have a great time with us, and they can see the pomp and circumstance of what the Marine Corps does and how we celebrate and why we're one of the premier fighting organizations on the planet.
Yeah. So speaking of premier fighting organizations on the planet, and I would say the premier fighting organization on the planet, because if you're the
Yes,
premier
sir.
fighting organization, you don't give that to anybody. All right. So I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. But and that goes back. I mean, just the Marine Corps was founded in the first place. We're all very proud of the fact that we were founded in a bar, right? And in
Yeah.
Tun Tavern in
Yes.
Philadelphia,
Bunch of dock workers
right?
that
Yeah.
got drunk in a
Yeah.
bar. Yeah.
Well, that's not really where we were founded. I mean, we were founded in Congress, right?
Yeah.
In 1775 on 10 November, the Continental Congress stood up, made a charter to raise 2 battalions of Marines for service with the Continental Navy,
Mhm.
during the Revolutionary War. So, yes, the Navy, the Army, uh, the Navy and the Army are all, right, older than the Republic,
Yes.
right? But the Continental Congress had stood us up. And of course, Samuel Nicholas, the first commandant, right? He went to the place where all the all the hard the hard bit folk might be.
Yes.
Yeah, and went to Tun Tavern in Philadelphia and raised his first Marines there. So, but then, during the Revolutionary War and I mean, in the early days of the Navy, etc., during the Revolutionary War, Marines were in the rigging, as snipers, because in those days you closed ships, right? And the guys
Right.
jumped across and
Soldiers of the sea.
soldiers of the sea. That's where we got it from in a big way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but when the war was over, they shut down the Navy for like 15 years. And so there was no place for Marines to be. So, but in 1798, when, John Adams was looking at trying to, the undeclared war with France and all that stuff, he said, let's raise the Navy back up. And so up came the Marines again. And then, of course, throughout the 1800s and the Monroe Doctrine and all of that, we're doing banana wars, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we were doing stuff from like, the early 1800s, and especially, and then you got the War of 1812, and still Marines are mostly aboard ship. But the unique thing all the way through the 30s about Marines is because we're aboard ship, we didn't have a large standing army in the United States. So we were the force that the president could say, hey, go over there and tell that dictatorial son of a gun that, stand down or we're going to, take his kneecaps off.
Yeah.
And so they pulled 2 or 3 ships together and all the Marines off of them and a couple of, and some ships company, and they'd create a battalion and then, march into wherever it was, Veracruz, Cuba, you know,
That
there.
was some good highlights. And then there was actually a questionable period in between there and World War I and World War II. And this is when the original Krulak, General Krulak,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brute Krulak, right, had to, they went through all the amphibious doctrine right before World War II.
Well, but see, Lejeune was looking all of this. Remember, there's a reason that they called John A. Lejeune or Lejeune, however you pronounce it. I don't
Yeah.
care, right? But General Lejeune was a colonel back then, and he had spent like 8 years in D.C. Different kind of D.C. in those days. He was the assistant commandant back in the days when the assistant commandant was a colonel.
Yeah.
He knew everybody, but he was the guy that made sure that Quantico was bought for our first training base, and it was on the Potomac so that we could do amphibious training. And his thoughts were we were going to be advanced base forces.
Season hold advanced bases.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
coaling stations and all that. And he was the guy who sent Pete Ellis out on his magical mission around the Pacific to go look at everything. Ellis worked for Lejeune, and,
Yeah.
and Lejeune said, I think we're going to be fighting in the Pacific. Well, you could see all those things. You had all of the things that were going on with the Russians, the Japanese,
All
us,
the
and the
battleship fight.
Brits.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the I can't remember the naval conferences, but there were several of them, and you could see who was building and who wasn't building, and we knew that the Japanese were moving that way, and so Lejeune, the greatest Marine ever. I mean, they used to call him that. Nowadays we don't say things like that, but he pretty dang sure was. He sent Ellis, go look at what's going on, and came back, and we ended up with the island hopping campaigns. But before all of that, you're right, General Krulak. I mean, in the 30s, you had Howland Mad Smith and
Mhm.
and Brute Krulak and those guys who
Chesty
were
Puller and
yeah Well, Fuller had been all
all
over
over.
the place. He
Yeah.
spent like 8 years in, where was it? Brazil? Was it Brazil or I think it's Brazil? Chasing bandits. At one point he came home and the president of Brazil called up the president of the United States, said, I need that guy back, and they sent him back. It's like, okay. But, and there was a time when, the Marines ran Haiti. The gendarmerie, the whole government of Haiti was enlisted Marines with one or two officers, who were given, who were serving external to the Marine Corps as the gendarmerie, and they were judges and they were school teachers and they were, everybody in the government for about 8 years in, in Haiti. And I don't know that Haiti's ever been the same, after they left.
And we
But
and we weren't without, but this is all good, great stuff. But we weren't without our struggles. So we had the kind of a little bit of a disaster at Tarawa with the casualty numbers there. But then we had Iwo Jima and Forrestal, with his
yeah,
quote,
yeah,
Marine Corps for another 500 years
yeah, yeah.
after the Battle of Iwo Jima. But
Well, but the first victory we had in World War II was Guadalcanal, right? And that was the
that was,
Marines on
yeah,
Guadalcanal, right?
John Basilone,
Yeah, John Basilone, that's right. Who was later killed on Iwo
Iwo
Jima.
Jima, yeah.
Yeah, after he'd won the Medal of Honor at Guadalcanal. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But but yeah, I mean, but all of that experimentation time, and when you look at where we're at now, where, if you jump forward and say, are we ready for what's coming next? I mean, all of the stuff that we did and all the thing the places our leaders had been during the 20s and 30s prepared them not just for World War II, but they prepared their, apprentices for what came in Vietnam. I mean, the ink blot strategy, of to beat the Viet Cong and operating in small groups and all of these things that if you look at what we're doing now, those things,
It's still in play.
well,
Small unit leadership,
exactly.
expeditionary nature, light,
All,
fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All
Lethal.
of that. Right.
Yeah.
And now now we're doing it because we're looking back into how would we defeat a
And
peer competitor
they're all
like,
studying at the war colleges. They're studying what's going on in Ukraine right now. I mean, it's
well,
with the
there's a lot of
uh,
things happening in Ukraine, and there's a lot of things we know are that we're going to have to do. And so, in the littorals, right? Littorals, however you say it. I always say littorals, but
I think that's
it,
correct. Yeah.
well, I think either way is correct. But anyway, we won't go there. But in China and the Philippines and all of that, where when we were living out in Okinawa, I mean, that was people don't they think it's really hard to get an understanding of the vastness of the Pacific, right?
Yes.
You know?
An island in the middle of nowhere.
Oh man.
Yes.
Man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm in
But it
Okinawa.
was fantastic
Yeah, well,
tours.
it
Yeah, we
wasn't a
had
bad
I had a
time, was
great
it?
time.
Well, yeah, go
Speaking
ahead.
of tours, well, we kind of got an agenda here. And we're bouncing around.
Well, yeah, we
So
are a little bit.
on the birthday ball, just I'm gonna go kick back to that. So you can go to the website.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The birthday ball stuff is all on there. That's Ellis M as in Mike, Charlie Lima .org, ellismcl.org, and get to everything there, which includes the ticket purchases for the birthday ball. So it's a grand event. This is the first year after our little hiatus from the pandemic, and this is the beginning of annual events. So
Yes.
we were gonna there's a similar birthday ball that occurs up in the north side of Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex. And of course, since it now takes about an hour and a half to get across the Metroplex,
Yeah.
there was one required for the south part of DFW. So we're doing that. All that information is there, whether you're a sponsor, a donor, or if you just want to attend.
Yeah, sponsors and donors. So if you got a business or if you just got a big, you got a big
If you got a
extra, like
fat
you're gonna
wallet,
get a fat wallet, you want to give some money. Understand, I mean, we have a scholarship program that we're standing up, for veterans and their families, right? And so all of our proceeds go to, supporting the veterans and their families, whether that's scholarships or support to Toys for Tots or
Honor guards.
honor guards, anything else, anything that we do. We don't have a, we don't have a mansion someplace where we're trying to build it out so that we can all live there together and in that thing.
And calling all Marines, you can also go to that website and there's an application. And there's a little bit of a process for that, like any other organization. But I'll put that plug in right now. We need Marines. We need many hands to help us do all these things.
Yeah. Well, it's important. The,
And we're not retired.
yeah, yeah,
Soon, but
yeah. No,
other
I
things going
already
on.
told my wife and I have already agreed that I'm never retiring because
Yeah.
if I did,
You'd
I
bother
don't know
her.
what I would do. Well, yeah, I'd be in her way a lot, I'm sure. But my wife's a veteran, so
Right.
she was a Navy nurse. That's how we met. And but so the so if somebody wants to sponsor, there's a link on the site as well. You can push, and we'll give you a call back and figure out how you can help. I mean, this is part of the reason that that the Sun is supporting us, and Grit and Good News is giving us their studio for a little bit of time here, and Sammy's over there keeping us from saying stupid stuff and getting in trouble. Um, the is because they're supporting us in this way, and that we can uh make some things happen.
Yeah.
But
But
um
the Veterans Day weekend, there's a ton of things going on, this time of year, and we're super busy with Toys for Tots. We've got the Veterans Celebration going on here in Ellis County, which is actually celebrating its 25th anniversary.
right.
So that's huge, run by a couple gentlemen and now taken over by one of our flank holders, actually the founder of the Marine Corps League Detachment here, Robert Bell. He's running that show, all on Veterans Day weekend. So this is going to always occur. The birthday ball, uh, and on Friday is what we're attempting to do at the current time, uh, followed by the Veterans Celebration on Saturday. So people that come into town, we got people that come from right now. We got Marines coming from Mississippi and Houston, Texas, as far as Mississippi, to come to the birthday ball. So if you're here in the county, if you're in Ellis County and you're a Marine and you're not coming to the ball, you're missing out. And you're closer than Mississippi.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's when I first retired from the Marine Corps, right? Because don't confuse that with being retired completely, because I just said I'm never retiring.
He's not.
But the Marine Corps makes you retire at some point. So when I retired from the Marine Corps, it was I went a couple of years without going to a birthday ball. And it was like November rolled around and I was like, what the heck? Like, what are we
You got
doing?
the
I
itch.
need to do something to
Yeah,
celebrate,
I think I've missed
and
three or four my whole life.
yeah, I,
Out of
yep,
how many years has it been since I started going? Well, I started going in ROTC. I was a ROTC naval ROTC
yeah,
midshipman, and we had I went to four balls in college.
yeah,
So it started in 1984.
yeah.
It's a long time.
I started in '83.
Yeah.
So, but that was, that because when I was at the Naval Academy, I don't think I went to any birthday balls at the Naval Academy. Um, they were the, yeah,
I called him about that.
yeah. Well, I have to be honest. I didn't go. I mean, I was I was pretty
Busy.
dang sure I was going to go. I was going to be a Marine.
Yeah,
But it was a different. Uh, I don't know. It it
it's
it
a
wasn't.
different thing.
Yeah, it was a different.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I used to say this when I was in Iceland, right? When I had the security force company in Iceland, and you want to talk about a birthday ball, and I can tell you a couple of really great stories from that because. Um, but that
Folks have to come to the ball to hear those.
Yeah, but I will say this, that in Iceland, especially where we had 100 O3 XXs, right?
Mhm.
And
That's infantry for
yeah, guys that had just come out of boot camp, infantry training school, infantry training battalion, and security forces training. This was their first duty station, and they were there, and they're only going to be there for a year. And but the ball was a huge big deal on the base because the ambassador came to the ball. Everybody that was somebody in Iceland. Now remember, Iceland's like 300,000 people, right? It's like, I don't know, like Waxahachie with an ambassador. And But you had all kinds of different, you had like 100 different commands on the base there. And but everybody wanted to come to the Marine Corps birthday ball. Part of the reason they did was because we had struck a deal, the Marines had struck a deal with the Royal Marine Band of Scotland 15 years earlier to come to our birthday ball. And so every year, the Marine Corps Band of Scotland would come to Iceland to put on our show, and then they would bust down, and they had their own rock band, and they did a great
Nice.
job. So they went from being the march around the room and
Yeah.
do all the
Ceremony
martial
to
music, right, to
party
the
animals.
party
Yeah.
animals. And then, of course, I had a bar because we had a bar in the barracks. That was part of the deal when you were on that duty. And
Nice tour.
and we would keep the bar open, all night, and serve breakfast the next morning. And then the Royal Marine Band of Scotland would put on a show for the community, for everybody that wasn't at the ball. And and they always did a great job. Those guys can drink like fish, I'm telling you. But anyway, it was a big deal. But I used to say to the Marines, the young Marines, I said, look, you may not understand, you may not get it, like I didn't really get it at the Naval Academy. You don't get it. If you don't get it, it's okay. Us old guys, so just follow along, pay attention, because someday you will. Someday, maybe next year, maybe it's 10 years from now, whatever it is, but you're gonna be standing on a street corner somewhere, and the Marine Corps hymn's gonna play, and you're gonna snap to attention instinctively, and then you're gonna remember, and then you're gonna get it. Then that Eagle Globe and Anchor is going to pop out of your heart, and you're gonna realize that there's a reason that Marines are different, and because we believe in all this stuff, and it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It changes the way you think about things. Marines don't win in battles. Why do Marines win in battles? Give me a shot. What would you say? Why do Marines win battles?
It's a brotherhood.
You don't want to let the guy down next to you. And more than that, you don't want to let down your grandfather and your great grandfather and, all of his buddies that were in the Corps way back when. And so I watched Marines in combat, do amazing things.
Yeah.
And you go, were you even thinking about that?
Yeah.
No, I
And
just did it.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that it's two other things is it's any Marine. Like
Right.
there are tons of Marines out there I know, and they're like, well, maybe I didn't serve in combat, or I wasn't with a combat or deployed unit,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter.
Correct.
And the other thing is Marine Corps families, I think, are different as well. So,
Yeah.
because they're ingrained with it
No.
throughout their, yeah, you think,
Yeah.
throughout their
Yeah. Both my kids are
their
Marines.
yeah, 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 and I've got one
Yeah.
getting ready,
Yeah.
is going through getting ready to ship. So, yeah, it's in the blood.
Yeah, well, and I say this to everybody, and I say not to everybody. I say this to veterans and to Marines periodically. It doesn't matter. The Marine Corps. I had told my son when he was going to the basic school. I said the Marine Corps is going to decide what you're going to do. You can say I'd like to, but the Marine Corps is going to decide where you're going, right? And he got to be, he got his choice to be a logistics officer, and so so that's what he's doing. But uh, and he's getting ready to deploy here in the not too distant future. But I always say this, somebody says, "Oh, I was only a staff sergeant, or I was only a corporal, or I only did 2 years,
Yeah,
or whatever it was." I don't
or
care how long you
I
you
was admin,
signed
or I was,
you
yeah,
signed that paper, you signed that check that gave your body, mind, and soul to the country, right?
that's
And
any service.
yeah, any service,
Yeah,
right? And they, and how the government cashed that check, how the Marine Corps cashed that check, and the providence of God and whatever else. It doesn't matter whether you were wounded. It doesn't matter if you were an infantryman. I tell my guys in 311 when we were in Iraq, I said, look, we're going to go back. We're going to go home. Don't get in a pissing contest with the guys that were up in Huseba or the guys that were up in Heat or whatever. You had a unique mission to do. They had a unique mission to do. If you'd have switched places, you'd have done it just as well up there. You did your mission. You did it, and you did it well. And we had our fair share of fights. We had to fight regularly and lots of IEDs. But that I said, yeah, don't apologize for having made that commitment, right? And that's what it's about. Did you make that commitment? You made that commitment. No reason to ever apologize.
Yeah.
So
All right. So, calling all Marines, and actually any veteran or civilian,
yeah,
or
for the ball,
the
yes,
general population of South DFW that
right.
wants to come to a black tie party with the Marines. Yeah, come on, join us.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they've never been to one, it is.
Everybody loves it.
Well, okay,
Has never gone.
yeah, but we don't sit around and and mourn everything, right?
Oh,
We
no.
celebrate our battles. Yes, we mourn those who we lost for a minute, and then we celebrate being there alive that day, and we make it is a birthday celebration. There will be dancing, there'll be a plated dinner, there'll be a guest speaker, and people put on their Sunday best and come to the ball. It will be more than you could have anticipated.
Yeah.
This is not a prom, this is a Marine Corps birthday
Yes.
ball.
And it'll be an official ball, just like any other ball that occurs across the globe.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, one of the interesting things on here, you put myths. I don't know what you wanted to talk about as far as myths go.
There are myths. There are myths about
There's
the Marine
myths
Corps. There are myths about the Marine Corps. I mean, okay, I'll give you one that commonly stated: the quatrefoil on top of an officer's cover.
Yes.
Okay, what is the quatrefoil on top of an officer's cover?
So it's been said
Yeah,
that was so the Marines in the rigging didn't shoot officers. Wrong.
That's completely false. It was a cool design, okay?
Yeah.
And it was on the top. It was on the top
Too
of
bad we don't have one to
some
show you.
covers when they first did it. Yeah, if you come to the ball, you can see it on top of my cover. But yes, that is a myth. That's not the reason that it was there. There was a time when all of our uniforms were very ornate.
Yeah.
They were very ornately laid with lace, etc. And they did the quatrefoil on top of an officer's cover. And when they went away from that, they thought that was really cool, and so they left it there. And it's been there forever. But that's not the reason it was there. Yeah,
So there
it
you
wasn't
go.
about getting shot.
So there's one.
Yeah, there's one, right? There's actually there's a whole bunch of those kind of things, like leather necks, right? I mean, where did the leather stock come from?
So that came from shoot, when was it? Early 1800s or late 70s? I don't know what. I think it's early 1800s where the collars were evidently made out of leather when people had sabers, when
Okay,
Marines had sabers. I don't know if that was the reason, but the
you're right
party
about
line
that.
on that was just
Well,
the collar.
there was a
It's made out
time.
of
That's
leather.
right. The inside of the collar of the uniform at the time was leather, and so that the collar would stand
The
up.
reason it
Well,
was
it also
there is
to
probably
keep
the
your
myth.
head up.
Keep your head up.
It had no.
Couldn't
It was
duck.
not about keep from getting your neck slashed. It was not.
Yeah.
It was about and so when when they evolved out of that in uniforms, etc., the name stuck, right? I mean, leatherneck, right? So, but that you could say the same thing about the red stripe down the side. It is the blood
blood
stripe.
stripe.
Yeah, it's not about Chapultepec or whatever. It looked good. It was the theme of the times. And but the Marine Corps took it like
Jarhead
everything.
might not be a myth.
Well, like everything, I mean, we take things and we turn it
Mhm.
into our own, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we do that. That's what we've always done. And so, you know, there's a there's a did the red stripe come from, the Battle of Chapultepec? No, the red stripe, but what it means now is that you're a non-commissioned officer or above, and therefore you are a leader of Marines, and that is significant and always will be. So, you know,
So
that
I'm gonna go somewhere else now.
okay, go there.
Let's go to Iwo
You?
and Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima. Okay. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
the reason why I bring that up is so at the ball there is going to be, I don't even know if you can get there anymore. I know when I had a few years after I had left Okinawa the second time, um, they had shut down
Mm-hmm.
all trips
Mm-hmm.
to. It's kind of like a pilgrimage,
Uh-huh.
if you will, for Marines
Mm.
in the Western Pacific um, to try and get to Iwo. And not all Marines got there. It was really luck of the draw. Not many aircraft flew out there, and not many commanders would stick their neck out to try and go. Not that that was a thing, but it was just a matter of equipment, assets, time,
And the fact
breaks
that the
breaks in the mission.
Japanese own it.
Yes, and the Japanese ground self-defense forces now own Iwo Jima. Given I don't know what year it was given back to the Japanese. Probably the same time we gave
Probably the
back
same time Okinawa.
Okinawa,
What was that?
72.
70s. Okay.
72 it went back. But anyway, we were fortunate enough to get out there when I was there the first
Uh-huh.
time, 2002-ish. And what curious story I already told Tom about was when we went out there, and most trips that when you go out to Iwo Jima, you're there for about 6 hours, about just so you're inside the daylight hours. We can get there in the daylight and leave in the daylight. And that's the general plan for anybody who goes there. And what had happened to us is, so we get there, we start crawling around Iwo Jima, and there's usually a tour. They put you on a bus. Sometimes they get you on a vehicle because it's a long hike from the airfield to Mount Suribachi. But anyway, we start hiking around the island, and we get word that our plane's broken. So our plane breaks on Iwo Jima, and they had to fly. They had to fly a hydraulic line from Yokota Air Base, which is over in mainland Japan, to Iwo Jima, and I think it took a day just to get that part, get it on a plane, and get it out to us. So we got stuck, quote unquote, stuck on Iwo Jima for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is we have sand
Yeah.
from Iwo Jima. So we have sand from forget which unit, but I think it's Blue Beach. uh, Black sand from Iwo Jima in a bottle that's going to be in a basket of marine stuff, plus top of Mount Suribachi
Yeah.
in a bottle. So that's going to be available for folks for a silent auction for those that. I've done it a few times before, and I think I got rid of most of the sand that I've had all those years ago. I would have people call me up from across the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, I'd get a phone call from
Yeah.
Ohio somewhere. Oh, my dad's a Iwo Jima veteran, landed
Yeah.
on Iwo Jima, and I'd like to get this sand to him.
Yeah.
So we would ship sand off to folks like that.
Yeah. Well, and it's like going to the Holy Land, right? I mean, it's a it's man overboard. But anyway, I don't nothing blew up, so I hope I didn't break anything. But anyway, okay. Um, so but yeah, when I got a chance to go to Iwo Jima and came back with some sand and I gave it to my dad. My dad wasn't on Iwo Jima. My dad was on Peleliu during World War II, but he thought that was really cool. And when he passed away, it came back to me. So so I still have the sand. But anyway, um, but yeah, that's cool. We're gonna have this one raffled item that'll be a silent auction that'll go on, and there'll be a few things that are pretty special in that basket for that. Um, and that is extraordinarily special. Marines will pay a lot of money
Mhm.
for something like that. Those are the things you can't put a you
You
can't
can't
put
put
a
a
price
price on
tag
it,
on it. Yeah,
but yeah,
but anyway. So, but that's
it's
cool.
for the scholarships.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all good. Um, so with all of that said, I mean, those are all the past things. So do you think this is just, you know me, I gotta go there. Do you think we're ready for the next one? The next fight? Are we ready for that? Is the Marine Corps ready for the next fight?
And I don't know if I've been in touch enough to answer that question, but being a Marine, I would say yes,
Yeah,
without a doubt,
yeah, exactly. Um,
because they're studying
well, you know, well, we talked a little bit about
they're
it.
wargaming, they're exercising,
Oh yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
you should know your kids are. Well, we got a major now.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
My
newly
daughter's a
promoted
major. Yeah,
major.
yeah. My daughter's a major. My son's a
Should
first
be in the
lieutenant.
heat of it.
Yeah, well, they yeah.
Going to
So
resident school. Has to go to resident school
well,
soon.
um yeah, well they don't
Like,
do all that exactly the same. They have to meet the qualification. And so
yeah.
she's doing the non-resident seminar thing right now. And but you know, it's different these days. And I taught that a little bit, but the but they're taking all of these ideas and they're looking and saying what capabilities must we have if we're going to fight this way, and they've been doing it for several years. I mean, I worked on some of that stuff before I retired, some of those concepts and some of
You were
those
in the Joint
ideas.
Warfighting Lab, right? And or were you?
I was in the Marine Corps Warfighting
Yeah,
Lab, right?
Marine
And
Corps
yeah,
Warfighting
but
Lab,
before
and
that, I was in the
yeah.
strategic studies group. And one of the things that we looked at was what do we got to be able to do to fight? We got to be able to move more places, have
Mhm.
more capabilities in different places, and we got to be able to leverage more platforms and assets. So there's a whole lot of interesting things going on. There's some internal, there's always internal,
Oh,
uh,
that's going to happen. That's always going to happen.
rubbing, I mean, before World War II, well, even when Lejeune and Smedley Butler were peers, right? And Butler thought we should be infantry, right? Light infantry. And Lejeune was saying, no, 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 no. We need to be amphibious. We need to be able to do amphibious forcible entry. And so now you've got people that, well, we got rid of all the tanks. Do we need them? We'll find out, you
Yeah,
know, but my thing is, what's the backup plan? What's the backup plan? Yes, I have a trick.
it's a
It's a trick
trick
question.
question.
The backup plan is if you asked all the Marines, if we were in a soup sandwich and you put the call out to, you know, we'll take we'll take everybody who's physically capable, the Marine Corps would be overrun with people ready to go
Mhm.
and go take it and make it happen. Because it is improvise, adapt, and overcome. It always is. I mean, whether
Well, shoot, that was the first Gulf. Back to the first Gulf War. They were turning folks away.
oh yeah, yeah.
Veteran Marines that
Oh yeah.
were showing up at the base
Oh,
at Camp Lejeune,
they actually
saying, "Hey,
recalled some
send
dudes.
me."
Yeah. Well, they recalled some dudes in special. Yeah, and that's true. Um, but even when you have everything that you think you need to have, like when I went to Iraq, we had to improvise, adapt, and overcome. We were an artillery battalion doing convoy operations, running FOBs, doing
Mhm.
infantry ops, and we were doing all kinds of things that were not artillery missions. And you figure it out. And, if you're, and I think that's maybe one of the biggest things about Marines is you figure it out,
Yeah,
right?
I wish I had some folks that work for me now. That were and hey, here's a plug for businesses in the county. You talk about this a lot
Yeah,
about hiring veterans. I
absolutely.
mean, they're out there and
Yeah, exactly.
they're gonna do good work for you.
Well, what they don't, we've done a really, how do I say this? We've spent, and I say we, the public, the press, everybody, we've done a really good job of getting help for those veterans, that have physical injuries, etc. And and PTSD and those things, from 25 years of combat. Okay, got that. That's great. But what we haven't done real well is for all those veterans who are trying to start a business, who are, looking for challenge and help, building their wealth, building their family, building their I mean, it's like trying to get help for a business loan for somebody, or getting somebody in your on your team. If you've never worked with a veteran, if you never worked with a Marine, um, if you need something done, all you got to do is tell them what it is you need done, because they'll figure the rest of it out.
Yeah.
They'll make it happen, and that is huge. You can jumpstart lots of business that way, and but we have as a in general not done as well
Yeah.
helping people, or providing assistance. I want to say helping, but providing assistance to people who are trying and to start a new business, figure out what the new business is, do those things, get the business loans, do the stuff that they need to start their their success that they've earned.
Or be part of someone else's success.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, I would love to figure out how to get the word out and say, come to Waxahachie, come to Ellis County. We're growing at at a rocket's, at a rocket pace. This county and the city are growing, and we're built, and we got business coming in and all kinds of things. We could use some hard chargers come in here and make some stuff happen.
Yeah.
And how do you get the word out to them? There is no one way to get, like you,
Have a birthday ball.
that's what we're doing. We're having a birthday ball.
Birthday
So,
ball.
yeah.
Yeah. When we did do, I think a few years ago, we did do a golf tournament. It was primarily for Toys for Tots, but that's going to be combined here. So we're going to be doing that as well, and because folks love doing it, so it's a good fundraiser.
Well, we got a few golfers that want
Yeah.
to do that.
Tom
That's
is Tom
fine.
is
I
not a
am
golfer.
not a golfer. Okay. I am,
We could put you on the drink cart
oh,
or
I
the
can hit a baseball. I played baseball for 17 years, but for whatever reason, I
yeah.
cannot. When I put that ball on the ground, and I cannot get into that one. So
We'll make you.
I am the comic
We'll have a
relief
pickleball.
on. I am
We'll have
the
a pickleball
I am
tournament
the
for you.
comic relief on the back. Let's have a powerlifting meet. Yeah, there we go. Okay,
All right.
all right. But anyway, okay.
No, but are
So
we ready? Yeah, hell yeah. They're always ready.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
yeah, I spent some time at Special Operations Command, and man, talk about the stuff that's innovative.
yeah.
That was probably the most innovative command that I've ever been at. Probably akin to the warfighting
Well,
lab,
the other thing that's
the
cool about
labs.
SOCOM is SOCOM has their own.
They have their own funding source.
Exactly, and so they're,
Yeah.
so they have their own budget and all that stuff, like a service,
Yeah.
like a service does. And they do some, they take ideas, and they have a good
But
process of turning it. And the Marine Corps was getting to that
as
with
long
the
as,
Marine Corps Warfighting Lab, etc.
as long as we're looking into, you see some of the videos of the drone stuff that's going on
Yeah.
over in that area
Uh-huh.
right now. Just the unmanned stuff and the drone stuff it's where we're headed.
Still got to have people.
Oh yeah.
Still got to
Oh,
have people that know how to fight.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
It always came down to you can hear the stories at the ball about Marines in foxholes and fighting positions that some of us have.
yeah, yeah.
Me
So,
not included, but I've heard some
oh yeah,
great stories.
always,
Yeah.
always. Okay. So, um,
The ball. So there are tickets available. If somebody wants to come in and throw a sponsorship at us, buy a whole table, there are still opportunities for that. Just a few. And we've got some room for ticket sales. And I expect, I know people are procrastinators. That's what's happening because we've even got some of the league members that are I've seen purchase tickets here like today. They've purchased tickets for the ball. So we've still got some empty seats, not too many left. We'd like to get the entire ballroom. We don't have the entire ballroom filled out, but the space we do have, we've got some seats left.
So we're
Eventually,
over
I would
two.
love.
So
I
we're
would.
over 200
We are
now,
over 210.
and it's filling up.
Yes, this is a
So
record for the ball.
yeah,
And I expect in a few, maybe 2 or 3 short years, I don't want to ever outgrow the Civic Center. I don't think we'll move from there unless there's some issue with it. But it's a great venue. Having it here in Waxahachie in the city, um, said great venue. We've got a fantastic caterer. Um, we did the meal tasting that always occurs before a birthday ball. The caterers have to come in and we have to test their food. And the caterer is fantastic.
yeah, yeah. So, but and so uh, there's going to be a cash bar. There's going to be there'll be
Live
a
band, there'll
live
be a
band
DJ.
and a DJ.
Yeah,
Happy hour beforehand,
yeah.
and we will uh, and then we'll have the ceremony, and the good Lord willing, the creek won't rise, and we'll be in good shape. And you know, but right now it's looking pretty good. But we are closing out ticket sales quickly, so
We've got to get the numbers to the caterer and our setup crew.
yeah, yeah. Well, but if you're watching this and you know anybody who might be interested in coming, tell them about it, right? It's Ellis MCL.
LSMCL.org.
Yeah, lsmcl.org, and there's a button to push. It's really easy. If I can do it on a computer, you can do it on a computer, because I'm telling you, I am not a rocket scientist on a computer. But
And we'll have Toys for Tots boxes at the ball.
yeah,
Big thing, big thing. Yeah, as
that's right.
people come in the hallway of the Civic Center and the happy hour area, we'll have we're asking folks to bring a new unwrapped toy for Toys for Tots.
Yeah, there you go. We're kind of killing two birds with one stone there, aren't we? So,
Yep.
but that's all good. And then for all of you folks that have businesses, start now, think when you do your plan for next year, your annual plan, please consider us as you make your plan for giving, for charitable giving. Because I know you're looking at your taxes, what's your tax plan, how much you think you're going to give to, to different things. Please consider us for your charitable giving. We are a 501(c) or 4C.
Five
And we have a special,
5014.
yeah,
It's a veterans
yeah,
organization.
because it's a veterans organization, but it is definitely charitable and deductible. And so keep us in mind when you make your plan for next year, and we'll rock that. So let's, but as we,
What was your best time in the Corps as we wrap up here?
my best time in the Corps,
There's a
that's
lot
it.
of best time.
Yeah,
Was
see,
it
that's a trick
what
question.
25 years of
Well,
best time?
man, 30. 30. And if they called me up and said, would you like to, I'd
You'd
be there,
you'd
right?
be
I'd be there. Well,
you'd be at the gate hanging on the
they pay
fence.
me, they pay you a retirement check. And if you know the official, you're a finance guy, you know what that's called, right? It's not a retirement check. It's called a retainer check, right?
Mhm.
And that retainer check says that we can call you back
Individual ready reserve.
anytime we want. Okay. So, I'm ready. But I had lots of great times in the Marine Corps. The most uh, many were significant. The most significant was when I commanded 3rd Battalion, 11th Marines in Iraq. That was extraordinarily significant. Um, as a Marine leader, leading Marines in combat was something that I always wanted to do, and I thought I was right where I was supposed to be. I mean, you have one of those God days where you go, "I'm supposed to be right here." That's what I felt like, and that will always be special for me.
Yeah.
But I was a lieutenant in a fantastic artillery battery with a great commander. I just went to his funeral in Arlington a couple of weeks ago, and amazing guy with amazing people. Everybody wanted to be there, and it kind of set the foundation for my business and everything. 40 years later, or 35 years later, when I started my business, the idea of what I call a culture of performance, where everybody feels valued, where you come to work every day, where you bust your ass, where you'll be able to innovate and and create, and we're artillerymen, for God's sake. And I won't tell you that that's easy, or that it's all that unique, but it's hard work.
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to be there. I mean, very few units in the Marine Corps of any kind does everybody kind of meet up at noon every day and go, where are we going to lunch? All the officers and staff NCOs
Yeah, that's awesome.
wanted to go to lunch together.
Yeah.
You go to the gunny's house on the weekend, and the gunny's out, and the gunny's out there. He's got his head underneath some Lance Corporal's, car, helping him fix something. You walk inside, there's like a corporal and a sergeant and a staff sergeant, and Mrs. Gunny has made them breakfast, and and there's a Lance Corporal over there watching, tag team wrestling, and everybody is, and it's not like we're all buddies. It's just like we all knew we belonged there.
Yeah.
And so things like that. I mean,
Focus.
Okinawa was fantastic, but
Yeah. No, it's that my second Okinawa tour was like that for me. It's like, I guess it's the same for Marines, because
Right.
it's still leading a organization. And for me, it just happened to be at one of the culminating point in my career, which was getting promoted to colonel and being out there with 3MEF,
Yeah.
even though it was it's what we call staff officer work, which is what I was primarily as a financial officer. But still, 3MEF is a huge organization.
Yeah.
So with only really two commands above it, Marine Forces Pacific and then Headquarters Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So, but that organization was
It's like
shoot, I don't know how
20,000
many.
people in a match.
Yeah, so we're doing the budget and the financial management for a huge organization,
Yeah.
billions of dollars.
But it's the
So-
people that make it.
Yeah, and so we had to do that across
Yeah.
from Hawaii to
Yeah.
Okinawa
Yeah.
and forward deployed.
Yeah.
And we had to manage all that and
Wow.
lead all those Marines. So
Pretty freaking awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, I think we're running out of time here, and we probably need to sign off, and come join us. You won't regret it. I mean, join us for the Marine Corps birthday ball. Come if you're a Marine, come and check out the league. It's always about Marines. It's always about taking care of each other, and so that's where we're at. But thanks for being with us. Thanks for watching today.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Semper Fidelis.
Semper Fidelis. Amen. All right.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the top.